would lose his faith and trust in God. And through the end of it, it goes on about him gaining everything. But whether he gained or whether he lost, he had one central thing. And in this verse, he talks about it. So in the midst of all that was going on, Job, what he saw, who he saw God was, is God belonged to God, belonged wisdom and power. And so when we look at the word wisdom in this verse, it is a divine attribute of God. So wisdom is God. God's wisdom. It's something that only he can give. It is about what it cannot be found in the human, but he alone, God alone knows it. He gives it, he shows its secrets to it. It is who he is. And it is everything that he knows, everything about who he is. It's what he created this world with, his wisdom and his knowledge of everything. So as we listen tonight, as we allow God to speak to you through his word, keep in mind again that what the wisdom that we're looking at in this verse is not about our own wisdom, but God's wisdom, who he is. So in knowing that wisdom is an attribute of God, the question that I want us to meditate on tonight is very simple, and that is, do you trust God's wisdom? Do you trust God's wisdom? And so when we look at the words in the verse, again, we talked about wisdom being an attribute of God in this verse. Then it talks about power. Power has to do with just his might and his strength and his valor. The counsel is his advice. What he gives, what he knows, his understanding with his discernment and his skill and his reasoning. And so in all that Job went through, his circumstances, all that he lost and then he later gained, he learned one thing, that no matter the good or the bad, the up or the down, the in or the out, he rested on this verse. He rested on the attribute of God. He rested knowing that he didn't know what was going to happen, but he knew and that he trusted God's wisdom. And as Pastor Alex's message was so profound on Saturday and so awesome, I just kept, spending time with the Lord and asking and just seeing and kind of like, why, Lord? Why is it that some weeks we're on and some weeks we're not on, or we don't do this and we allow this? And God's just like, you don't trust my wisdom. You don't trust what I am, who I am, what I know. You just don't trust it. And so we've talked about, do you trust God? And I think that's so broad that a lot of times we kind of struggle with it, or sometimes, but today, again, do you trust God's wisdom? Will you be like Job and trust who he is no matter what the circumstance, what he knows? And so I found a quote as I was studying, and the writer said that wisdom sees everything in focus, each in proper relation to all, and thus is able to work toward predestined goals with flawless precision. Mm-hmm. So again, wisdom sees everything in focus. God, he sees everything in focus, each in relation to each other. And even though everything looks to us to be out of focus, some things are up, some things are down, some things are round, some things are hard. Thinking about when you're trying to focus, he sees it all, no matter what it looks like, and he's able to see it all, and no matter how it looks, he's able to see it all in focus. And each thing is in proper relation to it all working to what he has determined to happen. And so do we trust that? Do we trust the lens that he sees? A lot of times we're on our own wisdom. We're on our own might. We're on our own. We've studied things. Oh, I know things. I've learned this. I've studied this. I know it. I've experienced it. I've lived through life. And we only see ourselves through our lens. And we only see what the human mind can conceive, the wisdom that we conceive is only just but a small, minute detail. Whereas God's wisdom sees it all. He sees it all. So Job trusted that. Job said, to God is wisdom and power. That is who he is. So I don't care what I'm going through. I'm not going to curse him. I'm not going to give up on him. I'm going to trust him. I'm going to keep riding with him. I'm going to keep walking with him. I'm going to keep believing in him. I'm going to keep being who he called me to be because I trust his wisdom.
And so when we look at our lives, our walk, our life, do we trust God's wisdom? Do we trust that he sees it all in focus? That no matter what it looks like to us, that he sees it all, that he knows it all, and that he's in control of it all. We are always asking, do we? But we really need to be specific. And where can we learn about God in his wisdom? Where? In the Word. Are we really in the Word? Do we really know? And are we trusting his word? And I know I'm guilty of this all the time where, I'll be reading, but then I want to read a book about what someone else said about God's word. Or I want to read, okay, let me go to this and read this, and let me see, or let me listen to, now I'm in the car, let me listen to some podcasts, let me listen to this. Why are we trying to listen to other people's word when we have his word and his wisdom right here? How much are we allowing his word, his wisdom to really penetrate our hearts and our mind? So will you trust his word? Will you really be in it until the end? Not what the experts say, but whatever God is saying to you. Because you are an expert when it comes to him and your relationship. He's only going to tell you what he wants to tell you. And so then I'm a very visual person, and so I'm like, okay, God, as I was studying, it just got me so emotional because I was like, wow, Lord, your wisdom is all that we need. Your word is all that we need. And I was like, show me, what does it look like to actually trust you? And he gave me the vision of a trust wall. And have you guys all done it? And it was so last night, I was in the living room by myself, and God was like, I want you to trust fall on me. And so I stood up, and so the first thing I did was held my hands out like this. And then the TV was there, and I saw my reflection, and I was like, wow, the cross. Just holding my hands out like this. And then he was like, just fall. And so I was like, all right, Lord, I trust your wisdom. And I kind of fell back, but then it was like my butt first, and then my back. And he's like, no, you still didn't trust me. So then I got up again, and I did it again. And I was like, okay, I'm going to fall. And this time it was like a little bit better. But he's like, no, I need you to really. And so this time I really was like, Lord, I trust your wisdom. And I thought about that, and I really thought about him, and I felt him, and I just leaned back and allowed him to really catch me. I was like, wow. He was like, this is what you need to do every day. When you wake up, we need to really wake up, really like, Lord, I'm just going to let it all go. And in that moment, I felt like, wow, just letting it all go. Like, no matter what, no matter if I would have hit my head, I didn't even think about that. Because the first couple times, I thought about, how am I going to fall? Let me make sure this guy, and that's what we do so much when we get up and we say, I'm going to trust you, Lord. We're really saying, I'm going to trust you, but let me trust you my way. Let me trust you this way. Okay, let me put my butt down first, and then, okay, let me kind of do it. And he's like, no, I need you to really completely let go and fall back. And so today, God is saying, will you trust my wisdom? You keep going here, in and out, it's because we're trying to use our own wisdom, and we can't. And so today, are you ready? Do you trust God's wisdom? This is the word of the Lord. Amen? Amen. Any questions, comments, concerns?
You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm just thinking about myself emotionally, just like the past week. Absolutely not. That is not somebody who trusts God's wisdom. Interesting. But the area I need to work out.
I was penned last night. I was crying. I was like, wow, I don't trust your wisdom. I haven't completely. These moments, but really completely trusting your wisdom.
I'm going to say the past few weeks, yes, but before that, no. Because I'm actually, like, seriously just let it go. Just doing stuff in my own strength got me where I was continuously. So again, it's like how many times we go to the same part of the tree, but for a different type of apple. So it's like, you know what? I'm good. For the past few weeks, yes. Once a day, I have messages. So keep it in your heart and remember it. That every time I come at a cliff moment, and what I call cliff moments is moments where I really would rather sing than follow God. So the Lord is now having me say what it is I want to do out loud. Because the enemy had me thinking that it was a secret. That it would just be a secret between him and me. But now I say it out loud and it just goes away. So it's like, his wisdom is to say it, move on. Of course, his wisdom is infinite and so different in so many different ways, but that was an issue for me. Control. So just relinquishing that control and letting allow him to dictate what I do instead of myself. Remembering is the tough. Keep this verse in your heart.
I think what's interesting about the word and what it says is, the first thing, the first action is that wisdom and power, it belongs to God, which means he owns it, which means if you want it, you have to get it from him. And I think that that's interesting that so much of how when we live our lives outside of that will, it's about us trying to really have ownership over something we don't have ownership over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if it belongs to God, what are we clamoring for? I guess it's a false sense of power, a false sense of counsel, understanding, but that it belongs to him. It really makes me think, well, what is it that you think? What is it that I think I'm getting, or that I have access to, if it belongs to God and I'm not getting it from him?
Anybody else? Any thoughts? Y'all quiet tonight. Food for thought. Yes, Mark.
I think before you spoke, it probably would have been easy to say, yes, I trust God's wisdom. But now, not fully, because it's times when I haven't seeked him, or I've made a decision, or I've done something I think is best. And, it says trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but I still fail to that. So that's what you were saying about the fall. It's like I do, but I still want to have control, or I still think I got this. God cover me, but I can do this. So I have to say I do, but not fully, not in the way that we're supposed to. Probably don't trust his wisdom every day, even unconsciously. There's sort of a thought, a natural thought, like, oh, I want this, and it's like, well, no, the Lord will tell you what you want, and share with him what you want, but yeah. I was just imagining if I could do that full, and I don't think I could. I'm like thinking, what, really? Close my eyes and pull back? That's crazy.
Do you think you can do it now?
I'm listening, but I mean, one of the things that's just ringing in me is that one of the hardest things we want to admit to when it comes to the things of God, the wisdom of God, the power of God, is that we forget that in all things we have to know Him. You have to know the wisdom, and that means you have to know the God. I just believe that as believers, we just don't spend time with Him. And you can't trust what you don't know. And so it's because a lack of knowing, gnosko, to be intimate with God, to spend time with Him. These are the things that drive us back, because we put more trust in man. We do. We put more trust in the things around us. Why? Because we can visually see it, we can hold it, we can touch it. And so it's amazing that it comes out of the book of Job. Job being the man who just forsook everybody. Whoever was against his God, then was against him. But he had an intimate relationship with God. And that type of intimacy is what draws you to trust. You know, if we can get to the point, it's in the book of Proverbs where he talks about the fear of the Lord is the beginning. When you have a fear and a reverence of God, there's certain things you just don't do, because you know that reverence, having reverence for it, is, you know, it's like those kids who I don't do that. My mommy find out, my daddy find out. If we can get to the mindset of understanding that there are things we choose to do, and forgetting that the God of wisdom sees all things, forgetting that the God who wants to take us to higher heights and deeper depths, it starts with the relationship. And how often does He talk to us and say, can you please spend more time with me? Can you please, because there's something I want to give you. And the unfortunate part is that a lot of our relationship is based through other people and where they are. And so we like to hang out with certain people who we feel have a relationship. And so when their lack of trust goes, so do ours. And so it's just something that just is so heavy in me, because you see the people of God struggling. But the truth be told, they're struggling because they don't spend time. They don't spend time with the one who wants to give all things. He says, I take good pleasure in taking care of those who walk upright. God loves taking care of us. He loves pouring into us. But again, we have to be a willing vessel. And until we position ourselves, you know, to be so, you know, we'll start look at what we call the super Christian, or what we call the one that's too deep. No, those are just people spending time with God, you know. And Paul said it. I'm confident. I'm confident in the very things that God is giving me. And so, you know, it's time, because now God is raising up. And please understand, relationship is not just based on how long you know somebody. It's about the intimate time. And, you know, we talked about that, about you know, the quality of time. You know, it's based on the sacrifices one is willing to make. And so when you're willing to sacrifice, the things happen. We just absolutely happen. And the wisdom of God we absolutely need in this time.
Amen. Everybody good? Tamika? Sure?
This also really just connects to Saturday. And the reason why I say it is just because, yet again, here we are in a place of questioning about trust and belief and relationship. And so, when I think about Saturday, I'm like, it just seems so connected, because it's like, I remember one time Pastor Kai was like, if you're not gonna do this thing, then just walk away. Like, just it's okay. If this not with God is not your thing, trust is not your thing, and Jesus is not your thing, it's just but don't be kinda and it's so like when I think about, you know, none of the sermon, and I think about like trust, it's like at what point, you know, how many times do we have to hear, study the word, read the word, you know? And then Pastor Alex always says, you know, it's an open book test. It'd be crazy if God tomorrow was like, we have a test on the word, 100 questions.
Boy, just saw some iron
No, I'm serious. And like, you would be like, one day, oh, we did this. We were we bought Bible trivia for the kids. Now these flashcards, I was extra confident. Like, I got this trivia. I was like, this trivia for kids? They started asking about some Paul missions. I said, that mission was in 2 Corinthians. I was like, wow, but it just reminded me that even in these Bible flashcards, like, this company is like, if kids know this, and I'm thinking to myself, how many adults know this? So it's very interesting. Like, what do we need? Like, what do we need a test? It's like, and then even that idea is like, why are we having to be forced into? Why does there have to be an action for the reaction, right? Like, why can't our love and our desire to be in a relationship just motivate us to just be all up in it every day? Like, will we get to hang out? As opposed to this, like, if you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. Or if you don't do this, or you should do this because a test is coming. Because, when you think about our relationship with individuals, we don't think, well, I should do this because I want them to. We do it because we care, because we love them, and we want to grow with them. So,
I have a question, Joey, and I hope you don't mind me going a little deeper. So Minister Jonetta gave everybody the definition of wisdom. Does everybody agree with the definition?
which one? The one where she asked when she said that all of our wisdom
Nope,
was?
the definition of wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I would
So if I asked you each to go around the room and define wisdom, would we get the exact same answer?
Oh,
No. I didn't think so, because what I'm over here hearing is the desire for a pat sermon. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if you're hearing that or if you're sensing that. Because really, here's the issue. She's talking about the wisdom of God and you trusting in the wisdom of God for your life.
Yeah.
But nobody in here really is trusting in the wisdom of God. Based on what you've been saying. So we'll start this. Shayna, define wisdom, please. How do you see the wisdom of God?
In all honesty, how I see the wisdom of God is just, I don't know how to say it without making it sound confusing, but let me just say it. So, as far as wisdom is using His word to me as a way of holy living, meaning the way that He intended for everything to be, to direct man in the way that they should go for the glory of His kingdom. That's what I see His wisdom as. Sometimes, I'm not gonna front, I'm gonna do that all the time, but well, as of a few weeks ago, yeah, but that's how I see wisdom, like as far as obedience, sacrificial, and holy living. That is how He intended for man to be obedient, to sacrifice, and to live holy. That's how I see wisdom.
Okay. Tiffany, define wisdom.
I was literally trying to remember what her definition was. I'm not going to lie. And it was really long. And when she gave examples, I remember things based off of examples, not necessarily verbatim definitions. So it only connected when she, for me, and that's why I kept reading the scripture over and over, and I was like, I see that. And then when she broke down each word, and then she gave an example about when she asked the Lord what did trusting in His wisdom look like. I'm a visual learner, so I only got it when she did this.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I don't do that. And I knew it, and I was like, okay, we got some stuff we need to work on. But I can't give you what her definition was.
What is your definition of wisdom?
I know you. I got you. I would say just consulting God before I make decisions or before I make moves. That's my definition.
And that's fine. what's your definition of wisdom?
The word of God, in the sense that every single thing that we need for our lives, not just what Shane was saying, obedience, sacrifice, and holiness, but every single move is the wisdom of God. So my definition is, again, I can't verbalize it. It's hard to express what I'm trying to say. I can't say it. I'm thinking about it. I can't say it.
Okay, we'll keep going. Kiera, what's your definition of wisdom? And there are no wrong answers. Well, there is a wrong answer, but still. Because it ain't shoes, so. What's your definition?
I would say, we talked about the word, I would say reading. Well, for me, I would say reading, understanding, and then doing, for me anyway. Because I can't do something I don't even understand.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. Yes?
I was kind of thinking the same thing, like wisdom for me, with God's wisdom is to live led by the Spirit, but I feel like kind of like I would say like I can't do that unless I develop that relationship and then understand what it is that He has for me to do.
So the reason that I asked for us to go a little deeper is because if you notice, all of you guys, I didn't even need to go back there, all of you guys gave different definitions, and it was very clear that you didn't fully understand it. All wisdom is skill, shrewdness, and follow through. And so when the minister asks you to trust in the wisdom of God, if you don't know what it is, how can you trust in it? And so that was a big deal for me, sitting over here listening, because you're giving a pat answer when she's trying to get you to really think about your walk and your relationship with God. How can you trust in me, let's say, to hold on to your money if you don't know I have skill in holding on to money? How do you know I'm not going to spend your money if you don't know what holding on to money is? So we have to be a little more proactive in when the message is going forward in stepping into the word that is being taught, and then pausing the minister at the question and answer period and saying, I don't fully understand. I hear what you're saying, I speak English, but how do I apply this to my life every day? How do I do this? Because you're going to have to teach this to somebody else in the future. I heard a minister say a long time ago, and this is how I always remember wisdom. Wisdom is putting off the gratification for right now for long-term gratification in the future. I am making a shrewd decision right now to not get my immediate satisfaction so I can get glory in the future. That's wisdom. That's skill. So think about that. That's just one definition of it, including the definition that the minister already gave. But think about that. You want to exercise wisdom. You don't want to just have wisdom. You want to practice wisdom. You want to use wisdom in your day-to-day life, not just be around wise people. A genius is not really a genius unless it has something to apply it to. So wisdom isn't really wisdom unless you're using it. So you can't come to any place in life and let's just say here in ministry, you can't just come here and let people speak at you. You have to be a proactive participant in the word, because this word is going to help you in the future and save your life, be it in spiritual things or natural things. But I just wanted to go deeper because I looked around the room and I was hearing, and you can always tell in this ministry when people get quiet that they don't really understand. It's not that the word was so deep. You just didn't understand it, but we have to cast down the pride and say, I don't get it. I don't understand. It wasn't that the word was bad, because the word was good. But how do I do it? How do I leave here feeling full?
And that's one of the, I'm sorry, thank you,
I'm done.
Tamika, but that's one of the things that, for me, as pastor, that rests so heavy in my heart, because this is why God shared with us how to do ministry. And it was important that people understood that this was a safe place, that it's a place of learning, it's a place to open up. And again, I do believe, because we're still going through this, but people just have to be deprogrammed. Because people are so programmed to going into a place, listening to him or her, and just walking on out, and whatever I got is what I got, and you know, I'll depend on you next week, because that's when I open up my Bible, and you'll share it again. And so there's this something that we have not being responsible to what we hear. We're not being responsible. We're not, you know, and that's why, you know, on Saturday to not hear another sermon. But let me tell you if that wasn't the thing that really stood out to me. What really stood out to me is, will man rob God? That's the one thing that keeps ringing in me, because it's a constant reminder that we're thieves. And when we look at that word, it's so hard to enter, because I don't want to be associated with the enemy. Not when it comes to the things of God. I don't want any of that near me, but I have to ask the question, am I robbing God? Am I robbing God by not doing what it is that he has shared with me to do? There's a responsibility we have. And when we stand to that gate, mama ain't gonna be there, minister ain't gonna be there, brothers, nobody's gonna be there but you. And God's gonna say, what have you done with the things I've given you? Did you take it? Or did you bury it? Did you multiply? Because this is what happens. He took it from the wicked servant and gave it to the one who had the most. There's some deep revelation in that. And so I want to be in position that when God asks me, what have I done, that I can honestly say, I multiplied the seed by taking that thing and sharing it with others, because we're in a season of our lives. If you are not walking with someone and ministering with them and talking with them and taking them to the foot of the cross, there's a disservice you're doing to the body. It's a harsh thing, but that's the reality. Coming week after week for another sermon, for another sermon, for another sermon, we are robbing God. God has put us in positions to speak life, to be in the midst and share with people his wisdom and share with it. But again, if you don't know, it's not always going to be the minister on the side to say, wait a minute, y'all know what that question was? We won't get those opportunities often. As a matter of fact, most people never get it. But that's still not going to give us an excuse to go to God and say, God, I just didn't understand it. He's going to ask us why. Because he's a personal God. And he says, if you would have asked me, I would have told you. But there was an opportunity that you denied me. You knew you didn't know what it meant, and you denied me by not opening up your mouth. And since you denied me, I'm going to have to deny you in front of my Father. It's harsh, but it's real. So we have a responsibility as people of God to get this so that we can go out there and save this dying world.
Amen. Thank you both. We can pass that. Anybody want to say anything?
Can you read your definition again?
You said, can I read my definition?
Yeah, only because I'm not understanding what was said, but I don't remember words, and I don't process like that.
The definition that I read for this verse, coming from this verse of what wisdom means, and this is that it's a divine attribute of God. It's his skill, his knowledge. It only he alone knows it. He gives it and shows its secrets. And I don't think I read this, but it's the principal thing for humans to have. The fundamental principle of wisdom is to fear God.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody else good? Can we go take the prayers out? Oh,
Hey, real quick, before,
He said he wants to pray. Praise God.
no, before Well, I was just getting ready, because Bob said I was just meditating on some things, but me and Brother Jermaine was talking this morning, and Lord was letting me know that we gotta pray for his wife, you know, because we believe in God to work things out. Just
Pray for who?
Jermaine thing, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if we can do that, we can just come together and pray for this, you know, just encourage, let her know that God's gonna work things out, you know. So actually, when I thought about it, I was like, she ain't even here. Then she walked in the door. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, no, whatever. I just wanted to put it out there. It was, you know.
I'm sorry, I think I missed it. You said that we should pray for Dean?
Yeah.
So you gonna pray for her?
Could you play for
Yes,
me?
could you pray for Dean?
Yeah.